Amphibians are among the oldest group of vertebrates to have ever existed, predating many modern-day species in the animal kingdom. These ancient creatures first emerged during the Devonian period, approximately 370 million years ago. Their evolutionary journey, adaptation, and role in shaping ecosystem provides a fascinating glimpse into Earth's prehistoric past. In this detailed video of the Bare Beginning (TBB), we will explore the prehistoric amphibian and we will delve into their origin, adaptation, and the significant lineage that once roamed our planet. So watch this video till the end. Let's get started. The Devonian period, often referred to as the Age of Fishes, was a time of significant evolutionary activity in the marine environment. This era witnessed the rise of fish species with lobed fin known as Sarcopterygians. Among them, a subset called tetrapodomorphs began showing features that would eventually allow life to move from water to land. One of the most critical evolutionary shifts in the Devonian period was the development of limbs and lungs, marking a gradual transformation from fish to amphibians. Tiktaalik is perhaps the most famous prehistoric animal from this time, a creature that serves as a transitional species between a fish and an early tetrapod. Discovered in 2004, Tiktaalik had features that were intermediate between a fish and an amphibian, including both gills and lungs, a flat skull, and limbs like fins capable of supporting its body in shallow water or mud. It is considered one of the earliest forms of creature with amphibian characteristic, marking the transition of life on land. The transition from water to land required significant adaptation in prehistoric amphibian. Some of the key evolutionary changes included the limbs and the feet. Unlike their aquatic ancestor, the early amphibian developed their limbs capable of supporting their weight on the land. These limbs evolved from a lobed fin of Sarcopterygian, providing a sturdy framework of movement on solid ground. The early amphibian had jointed limbs with digits, enabling them to crawl, hop, or walk across various terrain. The shift of the terrestrial environment necessitated changes in the respiratory system. Amphibians developed lungs to breathe air while retaining their gills for aquatic respiration during early developmental stages. In the case of modern amphibians, lungs likely evolved as an extension to swim bladder present in many fish species, allowing these early amphibians to survive in oxygen-poor environment. Prehistoric amphibian likely had a moist, permeable skin similar to modern amphibian. This adaptation allowed for cutaneous respiration, breathing through the skin, which was essential for survival in environments where oxygen levels were low or where lungs alone might not be sufficient. The reproduction of prehistoric amphibians remained closely tied to water. Their eggs, like those of modern amphibians, were gelatinous and required moisture to prevent desiccation. Early amphibians laid their eggs in aquatic environment where the larvae could develop with the aid of gills before transitioning to a more terrestrial lifestyle as adults. During the Carboniferous period, approximately 360 to 300 million years ago, Earth's atmosphere contained high level of oxygen, resulting in the proliferation of large plant life and creating dense, swampy forests. This environment was ideal for amphibians, which became the dominant land vertebrate of this era. The most notable amphibians of the Carboniferous were Temnopondals, a diverse and widespread group. Some members of this group were massive, reaching length up to 6 meters, around 20 feet. Temnospondals were semi-aquatic creatures thriving in a swampy environment of the Carboniferous. They displayed a variety of body forms and sizes, from crocodile-like predators to smaller, more frog-like species. Areops. One of the largest and most well-known amphibians of the Carboniferous was Areops, which measured around 2 meters, 6.5 feet long. Areops had a robust skeleton, strong limbs, and a large head with sharp teeth, making it a formidable predator in its ecosystem. Its powerful body allowed it to hunt prey both in water and on land. Amphibamas. At the other end of the size spectrum was Amphibamas, a smaller, more frog-like amphibian. Its light body and webbed feet were adapted for life in water, but it also had the ability to move on land. Amphibamas is one of the earliest known ancestors of the modern amphibians. The Permian period, which followed the Carboniferous, was a time of great evolutionary change. As the reptile evolved and diversified, amphibians began to face competition for dominance over land and water habitats. The early Permian saw a continuation of the amphibian giants, but as the climate became more arid, amphibians began to decline in both diversity and size. Many temnospondyls continued to thrive during the Permian period, but the numbers started to dwindle as reptiles, with their more advanced adaptation to dry environment, began to dominate. Amphibians' reliance on water for reproduction and their permeable skin made it difficult for them to compete with the increasingly successful reptiles, which had evolved waterproof skins and eggs that could survive on dry land. Despite the growing dominance of reptile, some amphibians managed to persist. Among them were the Dinosaurs, a subgroup of temnospondyls that evolved thicker, more protective skin and were able to live in drier environment compared to their ancestors. Cacopes, for example, was a Permian amphibian with a thick, bony skeleton and a tough exterior that allowed it to survive in more arid conditions. The Permian-Triassic extinction events, which occurred approximately 252 million years ago, was the largest mass extinction in Earth history, wiping out around 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species. Amphibians were among the group that suffered significant losses. The aftermath of this extinction event saw the rise of the first true reptile, a dinosaur, during the Triassic period. A few amphibians groups that survived the extinction event evolved to fill more specialized ecological niches. The temnospondyls continue to exist in a reduced capacity, with some species persisting into Mesozoic era. One notable example from the Triassic period is Mastodons, a giant amphibian that measured up to 6 meters 20 feet long and had an enormous skull with sharp teeth. Despite its size, Mastodons was primarily aquatic, inhabiting lakes and rivers where it hunted fish and other prey. Another amphibian group that survived into the Triassic was the Lepospondyls, a smaller and more primitive lineage. Some species of Lepospondyls evolved snake-like bodies, adapting to burrowing lifestyles or aquatic environment. However, as the Mesozoic era progressed, amphibians were largely overshadowed by the emergence of reptile, particularly dinosaurs, which dominated terrestrial ecosystem for millions of years. If you want to know more about dinosaurs, comment down in the comment section and I will create a video on that. Amphibians were relegated to a more marginal role in the ecosystem, often inhabiting swamps, waterlands, and other aquatic environment where they could avoid direct competition with reptiles. The extinction of dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago, marked the end of the Mesozoic era and the beginning of the Cenozoic era. During this time, amphibians underwent a resurgence, with many modern groups we recognize today evolved during this period. Frogs and toads are the most diverse and widespread group of modern amphibians. They have evolved a wide range of body forms, behavior, and adaptation, allowing them to inhabit nearly every continent except Antarctica. Fossils evidence suggests that the ancestors of modern frogs first appeared in the Jurassic period, around 190 million years ago. Salamanders and newts are another group of modern amphibians characterized by their long bodies and tail. They are primarily found in the northern hemisphere and have retained many of the primitive features of their early amphibian ancestors. Some salamanders, such as axolotls, remain their aquatic larval form throughout their lives, a phenomenon known as neoteny. The largest known and most mysterious of the modern amphibians are the groups of caecilians, which are legless and resemble worms or snakes. They are primarily found in the tropical region and live underground in aquatic environment. Caecilians are thought to have diverged from other amphibians during the early Mesozoic era, but the fossil record is sparse. Prehistoric amphibians played a crucial role in the evolution of life on Earth, acting as the first vertebrates to mark the transition from water to land. From the early tetrapod like Tiktaalik to the giant temnospondyls of the Carboniferous and the survivors of Permian-Triassic extinction, amphibians have demonstrated remarkable adaptability over hundreds of millions of years. Well, do you know that Earth itself is way older than these amphibians ever could live? If you don't know about that, watch this video right now to know everything about Earth's origin.